thing they did say, which was interesting, and I don't really understand. You said
Mhm.
you need the right level of conflict to maintain sexual attraction.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because I am a type of person that generally doesn't like conflict.
Yeah, you do. I honestly, in general, passive and people-pleasing kind of relationships, they lose all their spark. And the reason why people-pleasing in general, conflict avoidance and people-pleasing are not necessarily the same thing. Conflict you just might run away from it. But people-pleasing really kind of sucks out the joy of sexual intimacy. And the reason being is part of
It's a bit simpy.
Yeah, part of the joy of intimacy should be learning what arouses each other. That should be the part of the intimacy that's the best part, is seeing what impact you're having on your partner. That's most people's why they enjoy the intimacy, is seeing how their body or who they are has an impact on the person that they're with. That's actually what creates chemistry. But when you are a people pleaser, you can't trust the person's feedback. You don't even know what they like or don't like. And also one thing with people pleasers or people who avoid conflict or don't want to give conflict, they don't give feedback and they're too focused on, are you okay? They're not teaching their partner what turns them on or what makes them feel aroused or what makes them feel attractive. So the relationship or that intimacy loses its spark. And so you need that, conflict to know that this person, if they didn't like the intimacy, they would tell me. So I know I'm getting true feedback based on what's going on in the bedroom.
And as well, you said something which was explaining why men lose sexual interest. And I think the two main points you were making was porn or that they had alternative partners, which in some cases, maybe many cases, is true. But I don't think that is as simple as that.
Yeah, why do guys try and disagree with me on that? Because I always just say, I'm glad you brought that up, because I really want to really get through to this. Where if you are not sleeping with your partner and it's getting to weeks, months, or whatever it is, can you honestly tell me you're not touching porn and you're not touching another woman? And if that is the case, where you're not sleeping with your partner with no porn and no alternatives, there's something wrong in your testosterone.
No, because I've been there before.
Yeah.
And I asked those questions. I thought, fuck, there's something wrong with me. And it turns out that I was losing this sexual attraction to this person because of the way they were behaving.
I think that's a lie.
It's not. No, it's true, because they kept doing things which was irritating me and causing resentment. And when you build up a resentment to somebody, why would you then want to have sex with them?
But then,
that was one thing.
Yeah.
And then another thing is, I think the dynamics of the relationship shifted a little bit because I probably was starting to, I didn't respect that person. And I became too much of the carer, where I felt like I was literally babysitting this person, because in my eyes, I was like, this person is literally, no offense, but like useless.
Yeah.
Like they can't do anything.
Would you say in that time you still didn't watch any porn? Or there was no other women, nothing?
No, because I loved that person,
Yeah.
and I was trying to make it work, but the desire wasn't there.
But I still think, look, even if you don't have desire, it's a
you
bit
blame everything on porn.
I do. I blame everything. And the reason why I blame everything on porn, I find it hard to believe that when you walk into a prison, you'll see men sleeping with other men. Yeah, you'll literally catch them in the act and they are okay with it. And you're trying to tell me they respect each other, or they care about each other, or they don't care. It's literally, it's like urine. It builds up in your body. You need to release it. You need to go to the toilet. So then if your body's not functioning like that, either there's some masturbation, there's some pornography, something is getting released somehow.
Yeah, but okay, so what if I reverse the roles?
Yeah.
And you're a woman.
Yeah.
Maybe you've even experienced this way. Do you know what? I'm not even, I don't want to have sex with this guy anymore.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you're addicted to porn and you're sleeping with other guys?
But I would argue that our bodies don't function the same way. We don't get a build-up of anything.
I know, but how do you know what man's
Can I ask then, generally, let's say, for example, you don't sleep with your wife for 4 to 6 weeks or whatever it is, and you're not watching porn and there's nobody else. What happens to the testosterone?
I don't know, probably dip. But I think this is...
But does it get released in your sleep, or what happens? Where does it literally go? Because I see it as like, where does your urine go if you don't go to the toilet? So it doesn't go back into
you probably just jerk off.
So there's something.
Yeah,
but what do people usually jerk off to?
Yeah. Not everybody has to watch porn, though.
Not everybody,
has to watch porn.
They don't all have to watch porn, but they would either watch videos of themselves or they'd watch videos. Yeah, so they.
I love to watch videos of myself.
Yeah. So then, tell me, where does this?
No, I think this is what it's. I think it's quite common in relationships after a certain couple of years. Not always, but in some relationships, the desire to have that same level of sex
Yeah.
compared to the honeymoon period, it's not the same. Like it just is not the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I have researched, because like the last thing that I want is to get into a relationship and get married and for the love life and sex to die.
Yeah.
Like that'd be horrible. So I think as the relationship matures, it just means you have to work at it a little bit more. It's not going to come natural. So you have to make the effort to go on date nights, to be romantic, to initiate, to seduce, to play.
So is it just that you lose attraction and you just not attracted?
I think men probably just get a little, in some cases they might lose attraction because your partner's just been a dickhead.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of guys just get too content, too comfortable, get lazy, stop making an effort because they just assume, well, she's just going to be around forever and I don't have to make an effort anymore.
But then where does that sex drive go? Who does it get released onto? Because it doesn't go anywhere.
Well, in that case, they may cheat.
Yeah.
Or they may just, it might just
So I was
disappear. No, but the sex drive
right.
just might just disappear.
Yeah, the sex
because
drive
this happens, like it's actually proven to happen when the partner has a baby. And I think, actually I won't say any names, but I know somebody who's had a baby. And him being around the pregnant wife, post-pregnant wife, the baby, his testosterone dropped.
Yeah,
because he's naturally like
more
becoming
nurturing.
more of a nurturing carer person because he's around a baby all the time.
Yeah.
So that's like not really his fault.
Yeah.
But it's just a side effect of a different stage in a relationship.
Okay.
I don't know what the solution is for that. Maybe
But then
you can't be around the baby for too long.
What if it's not a baby issue? Because look, here's the reason why I find this hard to believe is sometimes I'll get men in their 60s and they still want to have sex with an escort. They still want to be, and I'm just thinking, so sex drive doesn't really go down that much. I've met men who have erectile dysfunction or they'll have like a cancer or something and they'll get a pump to get it working if they wanted to.
But I don't know if that's just Mother Nature and how men are wired to just
stop
be with somebody, reproduce with that person, and then okay, you've done that, move on to the next person, reproduce, because the whole point is to
keep going,
keep the human civilization populations going and reproduce. Like that probably is a thing, and that is what men would probably have to fight with. You know, particularly once they get into a relationship. I think there is always going to be that urge to want to sleep with other women, but it's you're in control of how you handle those urges.
What I find interesting is like I'll meet clients and when they get permission to sleep with other women, when they're given permission and they're like from their partner, they'll be in positions where their partner might say, I want you to get another wife or I want you to be with somebody, like go do it. They're less likely to do it. Do you guys just like cheating? Do you just like hurting us? Is that what it is? Because I've seen it where she's like, my wife says I can go and the wife doesn't really mind and she's told me before, but I don't want to and I don't want to. And it's just a bit strange that when they get the permission, they actually decrease their desire to wanting to do it. Why is that?
Because they probably feel it's a trap.
Like, they feel like it's an
But I think in the past, a lot of men they used to have mistresses.
Yeah, they just used to do that.
I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's the right thing. It's just, I think
I'm always. You know what I find so funny about the women that sign up, because I work with lots of mistresses, and what I find that girls that choose to be mistresses, what happens with them is
they fall in love.
They do, yeah, of course. It's no different to a marriage. They're literally they're married to the man. In their mind, they're married to the man. But the psychology of the woman that actually goes on to be a mistress is she usually has a really intense trust issues, and those mistresses, they don't trust men. They think men are going to cheat. So I'd rather know who he's cheating with and what time. So I'd rather know, and they are so much calmer. I'll meet mistresses and they're so much calmer with when he's there, when she's the mistress than when he becomes a husband. The moment he becomes a husband, she doesn't trust him anymore. She's like, I know what used to happen when you used to sneak out to the car and make phone calls. I know what happens when you go on business trips. I used to be with you. So she becomes anxious again. She's like, I was so much happier when I would know by 8 o'clock he's with his wife, he's putting the kids to bed. I know where he is. He ain't going nowhere. Yeah. So they actually feel calmer with a married man than they ever do with a single man. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Well, it's crazy as well. I'm friends with a guy he's very successful, billionaire, and he posted the secret to a successful marriage, just having a mistress. And I was like, because I'm trying to find role models that have a happy monogamous partnership and kids, and it's like that is really wholesome. Like I want to see more of that. So I think that it is achievable, but I think probably being here does not help.
Yeah.
But I know I just see a lot of men who are married or in relationships just cheating, and I'm like,
I know.
like, come on, like,
Yeah.
is there not more role models that? Because
Can
I
be.
bet there's even these really famous people, actors or whatever, very successful men who are in the limelight who are always
Posers.
showing like, this is me, my family, and my kids, but even then you don't really know
Yeah.
what they do behind closed doors. So it's
I know because I hear from them, and it has shifted my anxiety. Do you remember on my first podcast, I was like, I'm such anxious, I'm so crazy, I'm so this, that, and the other. I've become a lot calmer when you know the truth about what men act like. And weirdly, it gives you a sense of control because you kind of know what to expect. Like cheating is actually not what causes the pain. It's the expectation. Like when you don't expect it and the shock of it, that's what causes it. That's why mistresses have no problem knowing he might have even had, his wife might be pregnant. They don't actually care. It's when they're shocked, then they'll go crazy. That same mistress would like tear his house apart if she knew he cheated with another woman, because it's a shock value that actually matters. And I think when you work with clients all day, every day, you learn that it is somewhat unsustainable for a woman's sex drive to match a man's sex drive for the rest of their life. It is quite difficult. So I remember saying to my partner, like, let's just make a rule that no, we're going to be faithful to each other forever, 50 years, we're going to do this forever. Like, that's probably not realistic. The more realistic thing to promise each other is when we start to see our feelings drift, or when we start to see our desires go towards other people, we let each other know so that we don't hurt each other. Just let me know where and when, or if it's going to happen, and then I can make an informed decision. And
that's so, a difficult conversation.
Yeah, it's a difficult conversation, but I'd rather have that than who is she.
Yeah.
And because I'm realistic, I'm so realistic. So I'd rather, and he's like, oh, that's so negative. Why would you say that? And I'm like, I'd rather that than you promise me I'm going to be 50 years.
I'm
nobody
never going to
else,
sleep with another woman for the rest of my
ever.
life.
You're the best. And it's all these nice things that he does say, but it's like, let's be real with each other. Like, let's be so real with each other that if and when our feelings change, we let each other know so you can make an informed decision. If you want to stay, I can make an informed decision. And then we don't become enemies. Yeah, that's the only vow.
But I think that's a very mature approach to it, which a lot of people don't have.
They don't have, because they don't have insight into what relationships look like through the course of it. So they start arguing with me about like what I post online. It's like, but you're only in stage 3 of a relationship, or you're only in 4 years deep, or you're in 10 years with one particular person. You don't know what the real world looks like. So you almost have to trust the people who work with the people to tell you the truth. Like divorce lawyers, psychologists, or therapists, they're telling you the truth because they see it all the time.
So you have hope for relationships?
I do, as long as they can be absolutely honest about their needs and desires. And sometimes those needs and desires means we part. But as long as you don't hurt each other, because you can't have tough conversations.
I think that's an issue I'd had in the past. I would try to people please a little bit and not be completely honest about what I would want at that particular time.
It's just so much better, because what it does is when you are really ruthless with what you want and need, not in a horrible way, but it's like my partner might say, you've gained weight, like you need to lose a little bit of weight. I have no problem with that. I'd rather hear that than you slowly lose attraction, and I find out 6 stone later that you're not attracted and you're cheating. But the key thing is you don't want to attract a sensitive woman, because sensitive women who can't take feedback, and you tell them something and they get super upset and they can't take it, you're eggshells forever. You can't be yourself in that relationship. You don't want a relationship with a sensitive person, man or woman. You can't give them feedback. So conflict is really important, because it kind of weans out the people who are too sensitive to get to understand you and realize that tough conversations actually bring you closer. They get too in their feelings and be like, you offended me, rather than thinking this helps save the relationship. And you need people who are capable of that.